Pick it up where it's at. We did the fat shaming story. We'll get into the city council thing, and I will stitch them back together on the podcast side.
Sounds good to me.
And then the video, you're going to do the best you can.
Yeah.
There may be a weird, awkward redo. Part 2.
All right.
Enjoy.
This time we mean it. We're just gonna keep going.
We're live. We're live to the world again.
Hopefully we're gonna have to rely on Brantley again to tell us. I mean, your mom can tell us.
Yeah. Oh, she has no trouble pointing out when I'm doing something wrong.
Joyce. Yeah.
We get her back.
Okay,
She's back in a hurry.
We got 3 people going now.
And they're back and they can hear us.
Yeah.
We think. I feel strongly about it. Jade's watching. Mrs. Koger. Got a full crowd. All right. And we welcome everybody back on the audio podcast. That was a brief interruption brought to you by we don't know what, but the awkward pause and reconfiguring of that. We think we're back now, and we're back at it. So Dakota, in the time we were away, we rebooted every single piece of electronics that we can think to reboot, and hopefully we solved it.
We reset all the Wi-Fi, the extender that's up here. We turned off the Mevo, turned back on the Mevo, did a hard reset on the app. We just did everything. Let's hope that it works.
I did take the time in our brief pause to look around the room. I used to, Sean, I go to work, and I'm dressed in business casual, slacks, dress shoes, probably a lot like you do, but no jacket and tie. I come home now and I have to go to wardrobe, and I come home and I change into my plaid shirt, my jeans, and and you obviously have done the right job here. You're in your hunter orange plaid.
Yes. Make sure nobody hit me on H Avenue.
That's right. You're safe. North of Q is all we ever release.
North of Q. No.
Uh-oh. Boy, the super fans, they know.
They're going to be picketing outside now.
They're going to be close.
Yep.
If we've made it all this time and if somebody comes after us, we know why now.
Hey, that'll be really good content.
We have our first protesters outside the studio.
That's right.
So, and then the rest of the attire, Henry County Libertarian Party Chairman Dakota Davis is wearing his long sleeve Libertarian T-shirt.
Represent.
And Kade is now into an extra large. We accidentally had him in a large earlier. One of the brand new Boss Hog of Liberty T-shirts from our promo box at Vistaprint. We got business cards. We got some thank you cards for the very special donors that help us out. We've got Kade in the Boss Hog of Liberty polo shirt or T-shirt, and then there were some others that were sold, and I know a lot of people have received them. I've got my mug that I got from the T-chip sale that we had. I know other people have texted me pictures of the T-shirts they've received. So we've had some of the merch is out there now.
That's right. Yeah, we also have one large shirt that is just like Kade's that we're going to sell to the highest bidder. So whoever is the first one to send me or Jeremiah a message or an email that says, "Give me that shirt."
Give me that shirt, and I have this much money.
X amount of dollars. I mean, it's up to you. You get to decide. That is what is fun about this.
All right. Yeah, it's name your own price.
Yep.
It's like Priceline, though. It's Dakota may not answer you right away. He may wait to answer until he gets an obscene number.
I don't think that we can really say that it's like a name your price tool because in my experience with the copyright laws, I really have decided to back off on that kind of thing.
We don't know what we're doing right or wrong. We know the stove is hot and we got burnt, but we did get our money.
That's right.
It's kind of like training a puppy. We don't know what we did wrong, but we know we did something wrong, and we're going to try to stay in our lane.
So we're going to try to do it again a second time, and then we might really learn our lesson this time.
We're going to ask for permission business. All right. So the other thing, you have the polo shirt that you wore last week. You wore that out in public.
I did.
Rockstar status Dakota again. We went to the Newcastle City Council meeting, did the Facebook Mevo live stream. Had a couple of audio difficulties, but overall it was well received. You had almost every member of the city council come up to you afterwards and say, "Hi, I'm whoever. I'm on the city council," and you're like, "Oh, this is Dakota. It's my chance to meet him."
Yeah, that's about exactly how it went.
You held court, nearly signing autographs.
I did. Yeah, I was handing out stickers and business cards, and I felt like I was a real business professional.
You were trying to book. You were working on booking the mayor to come on the show.
We kept. I think that some people might have tuned in that might not necessarily live in Newcastle, but some people still watch that. We even had somebody from Dayton, Ohio that was watching.
Yeah.
And I think that part of that was because I'd kind of marketed a little bit about we ran into some flack and we'd gotten some pushback about it, but whenever I got there, we set up. There was no problems. After the meeting, Mayor York came up to me and he shook my hand and he said, I think that you did a really good thing coming here tonight, and people deserve to see what their elected officials are doing. So I was like, why didn't you ever call me back with the with the Wi-Fi status?
with the approval. We showed up. We thought it was a 7 o'clock meeting somehow, so we showed up 35 minutes early at 6:25, just in time for the meeting to start.
Yeah, which we need to bring that up to Mr. Aaron Dickin, who is on the wall, because the Newcastle City website definitely says that the meetings start at 7 o'clock in the evening. So we got there at 6:15?
Yeah, we were there just in time to literally for them to start. I think they started the meeting early, but they couldn't do their public hearing on whatever the third reading or whatever it was. But the meeting definitely felt like it started early. We made it work, but I'm still learning. I've only been to a handful of city council meetings. I'm the unrepresented person. I'm a customer of Newcastle City Utilities, but I don't have a city councilman. So I go to the meetings just as the guy that gets that has to pay no matter what because I live there, but I don't have a vote. I'm like Washington D.C. taxation without representation.
Watch out! We're gonna start throwing tea into the Big Blue River.
No, because what'll happen is they'll raise my taxes. They'll annex me in, and then I'll be stuck. Yeah. So it was overall. I think it was a big success.
I think we had
huge reach. Thousands, like 15,000 people in the last week have had something Boss Hog of Liberty in front of them through Facebook, just on the Facebook platform alone.
Yeah,
unreal.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, I had a really busy week this week, so I never actually got around to putting it on YouTube. So I'll work on that whenever I put this one up there. But my week was hectic, and I apologize for that.
That's the way it goes. Mr. Rao.
Yes.
It's the time we get it. We've bantered enough. You sat there patiently, like every good host does, and looks at us like idiots for the first 15 to 20 minutes, and then our false start, and then our other false start. We had a tart Glenn. We were like 15 yards back. It was like second and 30, and here we are to talk to you.
Yes.
So what's going on in the public defender's world, man?
It's busy as always. We have a lot of cases to deal with. Recently, it's been more related to the child in need of services cases. That caseload is exploding over the course, not just our county, but across the state. So that's been a significant hurdle for our office to deal with. But I know that your last guest,
we had Mark Rutherford, who's the chairman of the Public Defenders Commission, I think, statewide.
Yes.
He's running for Secretary of State, and you can watch that on episode 41. He was in last week,
and I don't recall whether he addressed that specifically or not. The caseload related to child.
Yeah, he did to an extent where they were getting some additional funds from the legislature because there's so many more of those cases coming through.
Yes.
And I guess when there's a child in need of services, it becomes a criminal issue, or the parents can be locked up when those proceedings are going on.
It can be, depending on what is the underlying issue. If it's methamphetamine use, maybe they're arrested for possession of methamphetamine, so you have a criminal case along with the child in need of services case. So it's a few different fronts, but multiple cases opened up for a similar event. But
so, do you get a lot of those different cases on that come across your desk? Is that prevalent here?
For me, I am assigned cases mostly out of Circuit 2 with Judge Crane and different prosecutors I work with out of that court. I also handle cases out of Circuit 1 with Judge Witham. Both are great to work with. Really enjoy practicing here. So for my purposes, my caseload is it's all major felony, so it could be anywhere between 20 to 40 at a time at any given moment. And then that doesn't count my private practice where I have family law cases and private criminal cases I get hired on for Henry Circuit Court number 3 with Judge McCord. So, the caseload is a little daunting at times, but
you sound like a busy guy.
I'm in court quite often. Pretty much 4 or 5 days a week I'm in court. So
I'm amazed that we've got him on the show again. 2 years ago, I couldn't get a return phone call from the guy when I was trying to book him. I would leave messages at his office trying to book him to come speak to the Henry County Libertarian Party.
Back then, and I was like, a lot more sleep deprived back then. So now
which I will mention again that you did speak at our
I
area
did.
convention
I did.
last
I
year.
enjoyed
You
it.
did a great job.
I
I really
appreciate
enjoyed
that.
hearing everything. I learned a lot at that convention. Like I've never talked to a lawyer and never really thought about the things that you talked about, but it was really neat.
Well,
And one of the things you talked about was actually the jury duty
Mhm.
and how important that is for citizens. You know, you said usually people are ho-hum and kind of disappointed if they get selected and try to, you know, you always hear the joke on like Family Guy of, oh no, I'm racist, so I
Mhm.
can't do it. Like people saying
Yeah.
that, and that don't take that out as a soundbite if I ever become famous.
More famous than you are now, sir.
So that was really neat, and actually, Jesse Riddle
Mhm.
just got selected for jury duty.
Yeah, so
And,
he was supposed to serve on a jury, I guess, a week and a half ago, and I'm putting the math together and reading media reports. I'm guessing it was a case that you were supposed to be in.
very possibly
in court.
Yeah. It would have been. I'm trying to think, but 2 weeks ago.
It would have been for a Monday.
Okay.
Started out on it was
Okay.
it was set for Monday. So I think he in his process. I've never had jury duty in Henry County. And now that you're my attorney, you probably can't have me on one of your cases. I don't, whatever. I'm sorry about that.
Well,
I'd be a great juror.
You just tell them in jury selection that Mr. Rao's my attorney. I
That's
think
right.
he's the best, and I'm going to believe everything he says. That will get you off of the panel easily.
They've met you.
Easily.
I see. That problem is I would love to serve.
Yes.
I'm that guy that raises his hand, and when it comes time to do community service, I'm there every May. I'm there with
Absolutely.
the Henry County Courthouse with the 4-H junior leaders, putting down mulch and weeding, and it's just the way I am. It's Catholic guilt, I guess. I'm a recovered Catholic. I'm a Baptist now, but I got that service built into me.
Catholic. Oh my.
Still like Notre Dame football, unless they're losing.
Are all
When Brian
Catholics-
Kelly killed a guy, it changed it for me a little bit, but otherwise, I still got it.
Are all Catholics guilty because they eat the blood and the body of their Savior every week? Is that Catholic guilt?
I'm
Only
going
if
to
they
let
go.
him address that.
I would feel
that one.
guilty. I would feel guilty.
So anyway, how often, like, you've got 40 trial cases going on at any one time. Those 40 are not all going to go to trial.
That's correct.
How often do you actually end up with a jury trial? Is it once a month?
So-
I mean, how often? Obviously, everything's different, but on the average.
For me personally, I've tried approximately 10, 11, 12 cases.
And you've been a juror,
and I've been
an attorney
for about
a
6
decade?
years.
Okay.
For about 6 years. So for me, it's, if you average it out, about 2 a year. Very few cases go to trial at the state level or the federal level. I've seen different statistics related to 95+% do not go to jury trial. They get resolved one way or the other, whether it's plea agreement, maybe some sort of deferral, or a dismissal if the state no longer wants to pursue it. So very few cases go to trial. So that when people ask me, how do you defend all these guilty people? Well, most of them plead guilty or the case is resolved some other way. So just put that out there off the bat. But of the cases that do go, very few do go, and the judges and the prosecutors here in our county do, I think, a very good job of helping us prepare to select a jury, and we give the judge an idea. We think this trial will take 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, whatever it is, and we try to plan those out in advance so that everything goes as smoothly as possible. And
Because they have to set obviously they can't schedule anything else when that's going on in the courtroom.
correct, yes.
It's occupied.
Yes, it takes up the whole day. So when I'm looking at doing a jury trial, I'll get about a week in advance. I'll get some questionnaires. You'll probably receive those in the mail. I don't know if you guys have ever received jury questionnaires.
Only in Rush County. I've only been summoned down there.
Okay.
I've never gotten one.
Okay.
I've
So-
only been eligible to vote for 4 years. So.
Well, at some point, you'll get a jury questionnaire, and just fill those out. Just send those back in. Give some basic demographic information. What's your occupation? What's your family structure? A lot of yes or no questions.
Do I have to answer those?
I think so. I think it is strongly encouraged that you respond to those so that
Okay.
we have an idea. It helps the attorneys more than anything else. Because what I want to know is what kind of person are you on paper, and that I take that with a grain of salt when I'm evaluating a jury. We'll for like a major felony sex crimes case, we'll get maybe 90 possible jurors. That's what we did last time. So out of that 90, I'm trying to shuffle through and kind of look at what's this person like on paper. And that may be very different than what type of person they are in reality.
Right.
So I take that with a grain of salt. But that's the first step in kind of preparing for a jury trial.
You don't go to the homework level of trying to figure out who they are ahead of time, right? It's more, is it just a rough, it's not like sports ball or, money ball situation where you're like, I need one of these and two of these and this one.
Well, you have an idea based on what kind of case it is, what type of person you're looking for. If you're going to try a bar fight case, a battery at a bar, you're not going to, choose a certain type of person who's
the people that you would think hang out in biker bars.
Yeah.
And stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to want somebody that's a little rough around the edges, somebody that understands, things happen, and as from the defense perspective. And I've never been a prosecutor, so I think there's, there's a different strategy there. But I if it's a science-based case, I want somebody that's very analytical, somebody with a background maybe in science, or if it involves electronics, maybe I'm looking for a computer-type person to sit on the jury. So it just depends on what kind of case you have that really makes a good juror. But at the end of the day, if somebody can be fair, open-minded, a critical thinker, that's, from the defense perspective, that's the kind of jury you'd want sitting on a jury.
And if you're a prosecutor, you just want an authoritarian.
You want
Have you seen the People versus O.J. Simpson, the American crime story?
Yes.
Perhaps you've heard it. It was the trial of the century
It was the
back when
trial of the
Dakota was
century
born.
back-
I'm talking about like the.
I was
the
just a wee
remake.
lad myself, so yeah.
Yeah. I was. What year was that? 1996. So yeah, I was just born. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
I was in elementary
they-
school, so yeah.
They did such a good job, I think, in that little mini series of really highlighting the jury selection process, how the prosecutors and the defense all have their own agenda whenever they're trying to pick out who they're going to have on the jury, and I just love that miniseries. I've watched it like 4 times, all the way through.
I think too, even in that, you kind of saw some of the uncertainty of it, because some of the jurors that they thought would be really good were not, and some of the people they were really afraid of actually came through, and that happens all the time. Just because there's so much, I don't want to say randomness or chance to it, but there is this, you can't get inside of somebody's head. You can only have so much time with them to try to figure out where they're at and what they're about in order to see if you think they'll be a good juror or not.
It's the problem that every philosopher and every psychologist in history has ever had, the point of generalization. Where we want to make these generalizations about people, but nobody ever fits into an actual box. So it's very difficult to try to analyze people in that sort of way. Whenever you have been educated in this way, this is a white male, his age is this, and he had this type of background, so I think that he's probably going to be more predisposed to this position. And then he can be the opposite. You just never know.
Right. Yeah, it's difficult. It's sometimes you feel great about the jury you picked, and then things don't go your way, and sometimes you feel so, and it does go your way. But when I'm selecting a jury for major felony, you get an unlimited number of for-cause challenges, which means that this person will not be, for some reason, appropriate for them to serve on the jury. It's usually due to fairness, or they're saying, because of this kind of case, I can't be fair to your client. And then I get 10 preemptory challenges, which means that I can select any of the 10 I want to strike off the panel.
Right.
And the state also has 10. So it's like a process of elimination. You're trying to find a jury that both sides can.
Have you ever gotten into I don't know how much you can say, but gotten into the situation like they got to on the People versus OJ, where it was the prosecution was digging so deep into the different jurors' past and just finding different things that they can try to get the people off that they want to. Have you ever experienced that?
Nobody swore you in on a Bible. If you need to make up a cool answer, that's
Well,
fine.
I don't think I've gotten to that point. It's just that, they'll ask, certain things about their background, and sometimes it'll come out that they had a relative that's been wrongly accused. and we get into that, and they say, well, we can't. I don't trust anything that the state says because my relative was falsely accused and set up or whatever. That's kind of interesting because usually people are biased against criminal defendants, as I like to call them. So you'd be surprised at the anti-state bias, and I think that got more so. I mean to make this about national politics, but in the Obama years,
there's been some high-profile things in the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, and there was a strong amount of anti-government thought during the Obama administration.
Right.
That people were a lot more open to challenge,
especially
authority.
In this area.
Yes, in a rural red state. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've never really thought of that before, and I guess I've never thought about how often your job would, national politics would affect your job. That
we had I tried a major felony sex crimes case recently here, and we've had the Me Too movement. And so in Vordaer, I'm asking these people, do you believe every single person that says they're a victim of sexual assault, or just because they say that, or do you demand evidence and testimony and things like that? So it's just one of those things you have to do your due diligence because people read newspapers, people watch TV, people gather.
In the age that we are
Twitter.
now with instant information constantly.
Yeah.
Information is across the globe in a matter of a millisecond. The right person sends out a tweet and a hashtag gets started.
And carry a cell phone inside of the Justice Center because you're afraid jurors might Google something. Is that why?
That's not why, but you'll.
I know you can because you have your special attorney card.
I can.
First-class citizen.
Yeah, I try.
I also have my calendar on it, and calendar. So
I have my calendar on mine, and they still won't let me in.
And
I don't go to your courtroom. I go to the stupid voter election office. The election
I
office.
understand.
I accidentally carried my pocket knife in there whenever we were applying for our marriage license, and
is that where I have to go? I don't go to the courthouse. I go there because I'm going to need a marriage license in every county.
Yeah, the clerk's office.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. Well, you don't have to go through the metal detectors to go to the clerk's office. You only have to go to
you
the.
You do.
To go into the courthouse?
To go in the clerk's office of the Justice Center.
Oh, okay. All right. That's because the county.
Yes.
I didn't know
Clerk's
that.
office.
I guess I always go to the auditor and the recorder and the commissioner stuff.
Yeah, that's in the old courthouse. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I don't go. I learned something today.
I had to take my pocket knife back to the truck, and then whenever I tried to get through the second time, I went off again because I had steel-toed boots on, and then. Whenever I explained to the police officer, no, I have to wear these for work, he said, but you work for the electric company. Why would you have steel on your feet? Well, that is a good point.
I don't know. I would send them a tweet right now and ask them, but you took my phone.
I just feel a lot better. I feel a lot better now that we're weeding out unsavory individuals from coming into my place of work.
Yeah.
I feel a lot safer.
So we were applying for our marriage license, and I think that I told this story, but Sean, you'll find this humorous. We were applying for our marriage license, and there was a couple in there that was filing for divorce at the same time.
Win one, you lose one.
Circle of life, baby. Yeah. Circle of life.
It was hilarious. And then after we got done, I guess the process for filing for divorce is much longer.
Yes, it is.
Than filing for marriage.
Takes a few months, I hear.
Takes 60 days under Indiana law.
Well, I'm just talking about time spent in the clerk's office, because they had to sit back down, and as we were walking out, they both said congratulations and wished us good luck.
Worked out for them. It worked out for you, didn't for them. 50-50.
Yeah, you never know.
You're the ones that are. Whoa, Audrey, if you're listening downstairs, I didn't do it. Wow. Oh man.
But anyway, jury selection.
How about we pivot?
Very helping out here.
Moving on. Yeah. We've been tracking stuff in the Statehouse. We've had different legislators on. Next week we have Tom Saunders scheduled to join us on Wednesday. We're going to spend our Valentine's Day. Speaking of getting ourselves in trouble, Dakota, we're going to spend Valentine's Day with State Representative Saunders. So,
well, we're finally getting our state rep on the show.
Yeah, we had Melanie Wright on. We've had Senator Kreider on. So Senate Bill 52 passed out of the Senate 35-13.
Correct.
That's the one that's dealing with CBD oil or cannabis oil. Last year they passed a tiny improvement where you could have it if you registered with the state, and it didn't work well. But it was only for epilepsy patients. This time it's going to be no more than 0.3 THC allowed, but anybody can have it at any store, no registry.
Yep.
Passed 35 to 13. Our Senator Lysing, voted no. Senator Kreider voted no, and 11 others did. I don't know. I know Senator Lysing. I've talked to her a number of times about this, and I know she has federal concerns with anything hemp-based at all. Still working on her with that, but
We're
it did
trying,
pass.
aren't we, Cade?
Yep.
And I think we're going to see it come across the governor's desk, and we're going to get a signature. So
Yeah, and then there was the House bill that was 1214 that dealt with CBD oil and the industrial hemp.
yes,
So that ended up passing through the House as well, and that actually passed unanimously. And there was a little bit of a scare for us, thinking that it was going to end up on our senator's desk in the committee.
yeah. So
and, she'd end up voting it down.
originally we thought that was going to end up in front of the agriculture committee. And she is the chair of that. And with her public opposition to anything hemp-based, we kind of thought that there was a chance that could get killed.
Yep.
I'm wildly looking now to see where it landed, but it wound up in a different committee.
But I think all three of us ended up actually writing her emails. You sent your email to our little group chat that we have going. So I wrote an email as the Libertarian Party of Henry County chairman, and then Cade wrote a fantastic email. You want to talk a little bit about what was in yours?
Yeah, I just spoke a little bit from a farmer standpoint and looking at the future of what's going on in other states. I think especially with our neighbors in Kentucky, there's just no reason we can't be included in the conversation when it comes to industrial hemp. And I think it would really offer a lot of new options for farmers out there to kind of expand their operations.
Yeah.
I looked and looked and looked, and I can't find anywhere where they've legalized it that it's been a bad thing for the state.
Yeah.
It's been a great thing in every state that they've legalized that in. And I think it just comes down to people educating themselves on it, understanding that industrial hemp is different than weed. It's different than what you're getting high on. It all comes down to the weed is what gives industrial hemp and CBD oil and products like that. It gives it a different name than what it really is. And I think once people kind of look into it and educate themselves on it, they'll understand the differences.
Yeah, I that was one of the things that I saw because you posted your email publicly on your Facebook page, so anybody can go read it right now if they want to. But a lot of the comments that were on it were like, "LOL, Cade's Kush," I think that's still so prevalent that the people that would even know what Kush is, so the young people, still are. Don't really know the difference between what hemp and marijuana. So there's a lot of confusion surrounding it, and I think that's I actually heard I forget who I was listening to. It was a congressman, and he said that I was listening to Senator Rand Paul whenever he was on the Stephen Colbert the late night show, and he ended up saying imagine. He was talking about Jeff Sessions. He said, imagine all of the old people that had just got done watching Reefer Madness for the very first time, and that is the majority of your legislators that are opposed to marijuana. That's what he said in front of the nation, and I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was great. A lot more education needs to happen.
Yeah.
So a little bit of housekeeping here. I have a correction. There are two bills that are going through the House dealing with this issue. 1214 passed 93 to nothing, and then 1137 passed 90 to nothing. 1137 is the one that we thought was potentially going to end up in front of the Ag Committee. That is actually now in front of the Commerce and Technology Committee, which Senator Lysing does serve on. And then 1214 that passed. That's the one that passed 93 to nothing. And it's in front of Corrections and Criminal Law. So both of those they passed unanimously out of the House, which honestly, in Indiana, that is amazing that those have passed that well.
Again, that was unanimous.
Yeah, not a single person voted no on the House side. The Senate, for whatever reason, they had 13 vote no on the oil. We'll see how they come out, but honestly, big kudos to the Indiana House. That's truly bipartisan when everybody agrees. We can't get cold beer yet, Sean, on Sundays.
No.
But we've got at least the medicinal stuff on the way.
I think that the last time that Sean came on the show, we talked about how he was a beer aficionado.
Yes.
I think that I actually wrote that in the show notes.
Yes.
I remember doing that.
Yes.
And you brought some beer.
I did.
I am sharing my beer. So this is. I'll try to zoom in on it a little bit for everybody. But this growler actually came from Norris English Pub and Brewery in Liberty, Indiana. They aren't sponsoring us, but
they can for
they
the right
can
price.
if they want to. That would be fantastic. But they aren't sponsoring us. But they are just a small operation out in Liberty, and I think that they are awesome. This is probably one of my favorite beers.
Excellent beer.
It's called the Hop Mama.
Yeah.
And you go into the place, and it is literally the owner and the brewer is the guy that's serving you the beer, and his wife and his daughter are the people that are cooking the food in the back. But they can sell it on a Sunday.
They can.
Yeah.
Breweries, production breweries can sell on Sundays. They can sell carry out, as well as pints there at their operation, which is great. And with the craft beer explosion, I don't know how much Sunday sales, not that it doesn't matter, but what kind of an impact it would have.
Right.
We don't have a brewer in Henry County, do we?
We do not have a brewery in Henry County, Rush County, or I believe Fayette County.
Sean, I think
It's
that
like
you.
It's like there's a
wanna-
gap in the market.
We
you
can go
wanna
to
know if
Greenfield
this
and
is
get some.
Strange.
I like
You
the Wooden
can.
Bear.
Wooden Bear is excellent.
Yes,
Wooden
Wooden Bear is
Bear is
really
excellent.
good. I went to Elm Street over the weekend.
Yeah.
Didn't care for it.
Really? I loved
Yeah.
it. The atmosphere in Elm Street was phenomenal.
The atmosphere was fantastic.
You went for a concert, which I would probably
Yeah.
change your opinion
Well,
a little
no,
bit.
but the band was really good. The atmosphere was great, but the beer was not very good.
I
See,
had guest stuff. I don't think I had any of theirs. I actually had a mead from who's Fountain Square. There's
Okay.
the meadery down there. I don't remember the name off the top of my head now, but I had a mead, and it's
Yeah,
what they have is great.
I got a flight
Rethinker.
of 4. I got 2 flights of 4, so I tried 8 different beers, and there wasn't a single one where I was like, "Oh, this is fantastic." Like, it was just like,
Maybe you were just in a bad mood.
"Yeah, I'll drink it."
Craft beer is difficult to bake. It's difficult. I mean, it's just a difficult challenge, and we have a lot of great breweries in Muncie and Delaware County, but none, unfortunately, here in our neck of the woods.
Yeah, we
It's
can start a row.
it might be
Henry
in the
County
cards
pub,
down the
like-
road. Might be in the cards. You never know.
Well, our friend Jesse Riddle has tried to start a cidery a few times, and he's not been able to navigate the regulatory hurdles of finding a facility. It's not easy. You can't just open one up in your. It's easier to start a podcast in a guest room,
Sure.
than it is to start a brewery or
I could
a
imagine.
winery or a cidery.
We didn't have to pull any permits from Darren Jacobs for this.
No, we probably. I honestly, no. This is mostly just baling wire and duct tape that put this place together.
Some
No
staples.
permits required, thankfully. No major fixtures moved around.
I see my.
But
my
if Darren had a chance to regulate it, our token socials would probably get his pound of flesh out of it.
My brother-in-law, David, he's watching right now, and he's a home brewer. And every time we have like a family function or something, he'll bring out his latest brew, and we'll try it all. We'll all try it out, and it's always been really good. I think he's really doing good with it, and he's wanting to explore some business options later on. So I think there's going to be a lot of guys like that coming too with the latest craft beer boom.
And, the deregulation, the anti-protectionism that happened to, I think we talked about this last time.
We talked about President Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, Jimmy Carter was
Jeremiah's ultimate hero, right?
That's right. He's the reason I wear a sweater in the wintertime.
Hey,
Because
say
I
what-
have electric heat and I'm cheap. I don't want to give Dakota's employer too much more power.
Say what you
Or
will
too
about,
more juice,
about
cash.
old Jimmy, but he brought us a craft beer.
Yes.
And I appreciate that.
Yes, and I look forward to homebrewing myself. So it's just a great hobby. It's a great thing for people to get into and share with friends, and maybe have a club or something like that. Or
Could you
something
give
we
us
could
maybe your
drink
top
at.
3 of like local brews you got that you like?
Local beers that I like. That's difficult because I like some.
Yeah.
The ones I go to a lot, I would just say the ones I frequent the most, for like carry out craft growlers, would be New Corner in Muncie. It's on Cowan Road. Great beers there. Sean Brady is the head brewer there. Super nice guy. I think he's in the National Guard. He spent some time here in Newcastle at the Newcastle Armory back when it was
Before it was a dance hall.
before it's where I'm going to take my daughter here on Saturday for the
Is it the father-daughter dance?
Yes, go to that.
That's another really cool event, by the way. I've
That
seen pictures of
is.
that, and it got too big for Memorial Park. They used to have
Yes.
it at the Smith Building, and now it's been at the Armory the last couple of years. And I see lots and lots of guys my age with kids now.
It's-
Sorry, Mom, we're working on it. At some point, we're gonna get married in July. We'll have kids. Don't worry, you'll have grandkids eventually.
It's very well attended, yeah.
Yeah.
Guardian Brewery in Muncie, they have a great tap room. That's a great place to hang out. And then maybe one off the board. I don't know. I went to Big Lug Canteen one time, and I really enjoyed their beer. That was in the Nora Whole Foods crunchy area of Indianapolis. But I mean, it's just pretty much everywhere. I mean, it's great beers everywhere. That's the great thing about it.
Yeah, we like going Chili Water down in Fountain Square
Yeah,
area.
I haven't been there, but I've heard great things.
It's a good spot.
Yeah.
Wooden Bear, obviously, we talked about that a little bit. There's the stuff. And then, honestly, I really do like there in Irvington at Blackacre, their stuff. And then Scotty's. I know it's kind of a chain now at this point, but their blackberry wheat, I think it is, that they have.
got that Golden Zoe IPA that is just really smooth, easy to drink.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
The Blackacre people, they went to my law school,
Did they?
and they didn't want to do what I do now. So they wisened up, and they were like, we're gonna go make beer.
Well,
So they're really the winners tonight.
So-
Well, there's some opportunities in Henry County. If you want to start a brewery either on the National Road in Knightstown
Yeah.
or Broad Street in Newcastle, when we've got some businesses that are going to open up. There's a real fancy park, the Aaron Dicken Park, that's going to open up across 14th Street if it's ever opened. There legitimately are opportunities for that kind of a thing to go in there and be very successful. Because I know Sean would be in there about 4 days a week.
I might be the one running it.
Hey,
You never know. I might give this law thing
yeah.
up.
quit
I'll
practicing.
be in
We're
there.
going to run out of young attorneys in this town
Oh,
if you
goodness,
go do that.
Let's not bring him up. No, he's a very good friend of mine. So
Yep. So anyway, Senate Bill 1 and House Bill 1501 both dealt with the Sunday sales. They both passed. Now we're waiting on Governor Holcomb to finally sign, but he ended up, I think last year in the debates, he actually agreed with Rex Bell whenever he said that anything legal on a Saturday should be legal on a Sunday. So we're not going to have a problem with there. It's going to be awesome. However, it's only going to allow sales from noon to 8 p.m. Any other day you can buy it starting 7 a.m. to 3 a.m., which is weird,
If you buy it after 8, you're a sinner, man. It's Sunday.
I guess. Before noon, you're supposed to be in church. What are you out doing buying beer?
I think what this was mentioned though, it's protectionism. It's just making sure that my overhead for this day is going to be 8 hours.
Yep, it's going to be one
Yeah.
shift. That's all I have to open it
Kroger
for.
and Walmart, they're pretty much 24 hours.
Yep.
So it is what it is.
I'm sorry, Sean, you're in Newcastle. We
Yes.
say Kroger's
Kroger's. Go Kroger's.
with an
He's from
S.
Upland. He doesn't know any
I'm from
better.
Upland.
We say Kroger's. We say Aldi's. We say the Walmart.
I say the McDonald's just for the sport of it.
McDonald's.
I really don't mean it. I'm from New York, and I have learning, so it's not really my real problem.
Were you guys surprised like I was because I thought that cold beer would pass before Sunday
Yeah,
sales?
I agree
I
with
thought that was just
It
that was
seemed
totally
easier.
Seemed
backwards.
flip flop.
And that's what got the folks at Ricker's selling the cold beer out of their Mexican restaurant that kind of got the conversation started, and poor Jay got hosed. He's got 2 beautiful restaurants that were selling cold beer whenever he wanted to. His stunt or his work and pointing out the flaw of the system is what got us to this point. And unfortunately, he didn't spend enough money with the legislators to get his thing passed. Honestly, I think this is what they're trying is an inoculation, where you're going to have the Sunday sales at room temperature only. Although I did do some Googling, and you can get a 12-ounce can cooler that'll cool your can in about 60 seconds for $20.
Yep, that should be sold in every Walmart everywhere.
They should be sold in a cup holder variety, so you can cool it in the car, so that by the time you get home, it's cold.
Yeah, well, they should sell it in every Walmart in Indiana because we are the only temperature-regulated state in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how the other people are doing it. I feel like Indiana with this cold beer issue is kind of like how Oklahoma was whenever they found out they had to pump their own gas now.
Oregon.
Oregon.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Oklahoma.
No.
Oklahoma, where you don't
Oregon.
have to pump your own
Yes.
gas.
I don't know. Did you guys all see that?
Yeah,
I did.
That was hilarious.
That was that made a lot of nice memes there for about a week.
It did. It did. That was an A+ meme
That
by
was-
everybody.
There was another protectionist
Everybody involved.
reasoning is just we want to these people have jobs and we want to protect their jobs.
Yeah.
And just
And-
like this legislation is trying to fight.
People thought, no, this is for the safety of the people. This is it's too dangerous for me to get out and pump our own gas. Just like if you listen to, some old-time conservatives here in Indiana, it's they do it for religious reasons. That's not the case, and that I think that people have woken up to that over the past few years, and that's why we're seeing it now.
So, did you guys follow some of the discussion or the notes related to the cold beer sales? Because some of the reasonings behind the people not supporting it was just so hilariously bad. It was just like we were bending the rules of reasoning and logic to be opposed to this.
There's no reason to. Go ahead with
Well,
your.
it was like we can't sell cold beer in a gas station because somebody's going to go out to their car and just crack it open.
Yeah.
And just start drinking and driving. It's
especially
like-
in a single. We
Because
can sell a
one of those
6-pack, but we
singles,
can't sell one beer.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible the
Have you-
reasoning and logic.
Have you guys
behind
ever
that.
been in a liquor store and watched a guy buy one single cold can of beer and then just walk out with it?
I don't know.
I have.
I might
I-
have, but I don't.
I've seen
guess
that
I haven't
happen.
paid
And
attention.
it's
Yeah,
like,
I don't pay that much attention.
Yeah.
That's really strange because you definitely know that guy's going
Yeah.
out there to shotgun that beer in the parking lot. That's what he's doing.
See, now you're giving credence to the protectionists.
That's
I
normally.
mean, they can do it right now in the
That's
liquor
normally
store.
Mad
That's
Dog
true.
2020, isn't it?
What's that?
Isn't
the
that
Mad Dog.
Mad Dog. Yeah. I have bought the large cans of like Milwaukee's Best Ice. Or those, they have way too much alcohol in them for any one human to consume. It's bad. I think I took one of those to one of your parties.
Probably did.
Yeah, bad mistake. Do not get it. It's just gross. It tastes bad.
Cheap beer is gross.
Yeah, and well, it's not even like it's that cheap. It's still like $5 for
Okay.
the whole can. So like, what? Just buy something good and drink something that tastes good. Like that stuff is disgusting.
In the nearly year that we've had this show, I've really enjoyed Dakota going from beer to beer to beer, and his tour of being able to consume beer legally or purchase it on his own, go to the store and pick it off the shelf, and
Been
and
the
and work
evolution of a
through.
beer drinker.
He's gone
It
from
has.
PBR to the IPAs now.
Oh yeah, see, I hated IPAs. Well, at least I thought. I was like one of those people that's never tried a food, but they
Yeah.
are intense that they hate it. That's how I was with IPAs. I only liked like light beers, like you said, PBR.
Yeah.
PBR was my go-to for a really long time, and then Heineken.
You drink the Heineken, yeah,
Stella.
and then
and
your
then-
Mini Kings
Oh, I still love Mini Kings.
or Little
though.
Kings, and then your mini
Yeah,
beers
my Little
that you
Kings.
have at the dive bars.
Yeah, the mini beers are a shot though. That's a
Yeah.
little bit different.
Yeah, but you sip them with your pinky up. It's very weird.
I hope I make everybody feel uncomfortable. But,
You certainly do me.
well, good. I went to Three Wise Men and I tried their Golden Zoe, and I was like, I'm gonna hate this. It's an IPA, and I loved it.
Yeah,
I've been
hopefully.
drinking IPAs ever since.
Yeah, my breakthrough was with Sierra Nevada Pale Ale and anything from Sam Adams.
Yeah.
was kind of my breakthrough. But
Oh yeah.
you guys seem to have your finger on the pulse of the legislature
We try.
more so than I do.
We have tried to stay plugged in this year. We like content, anything for content, and we figured out that there was going to be a legislative session, so we have dug in deep.
What are the odds that cold beer passes next session?
Probably not next session. I think it's probably going to take a cycle or two more for people to be like, why in the hell don't we have it yet? That said, I didn't think CBD oil would get done this fast, but they failed so badly in implementing it because they tried to put so many restrictions on. Everybody thought CBD oil was legal, and then all of a sudden the registries weren't set up and you couldn't do it. But the cold beer thing, if people actually demand it and say, what the hell, I thought you fixed this, and there's a revolt, then maybe that will happen. But candidates are actually going to have to make the races about that this year, saying, once we get to July, the law changes, and if people say, I thought I had cold beer, and now I can only buy warm beer on Sundays, and I want to buy it at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm pissed off, then maybe it'll change. But there's going to have to be a groundswell of support from July to November to make that happen. I don't think it's going to go there, but it could.
Okay.
Could. What do you think, Kade?
Yeah, I hope it comes sooner than later, but I think it's going to take a few sessions to get back around to it. People are going to have to see how this goes when it gets signed, and then it's going to keep people talking like, why can't we get it cold now that we can get it on Sundays?
Yep.
We had Brad Kloffenstein on back, I don't know, 2 months ago or so, right before the General Assembly started, and he was the head of the Tavern League in Indianapolis. And he had written a position piece probably 3 to 4 years ago saying that this is exactly what they should do as an inoculation. And I think that's what it's going to try to serve as, where these different trade groups cut a deal, told the legislators what they can live with, and then they're going to try to go by and just see if the limited Sunday sales are enough to keep us from wanting any more freedom. Next thing we're doing is we're coming for car sales, man. I want to be able to buy a car on Sunday.
Why can't
I don't
buy
have
cars
to
on
plan that much. I want to spend $30,000 on a pickup truck that I don't need on a Sunday. Why can't I do that?
This is because God. That's why.
Because God.
You should be in church, not worrying about your trucks and your beer.
What if I go to Ohio and buy my car and the state loses out on all that sales tax?
Well, we're not going to talk about that.
They'll get you on the
Jeremiah.
other end.
Yeah, sure. They'll try.
They'll try.
When was the last time you had to defend somebody for not paying their use taxes?
I'm not that kind of attorney.
When is the last time you heard about anybody getting charged for dipping out on their use taxes? It doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen.
Everybody jokes
yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
And you went through, and I did my taxes. I filled out my form.
Yep.
Did you buy anything out of state that you weren't taxed on? No, I don't have the internet. I didn't buy anything. Click. No, of course not. And everybody's honest about it. The legislators that are responsible for that law say no to that one. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I've never said no. I always am very truthful.
And you keep all of your receipts all year long.
All
and
your
then you total them.
Amazons
Yeah.
and all your...
Yes.
Yeah, your
I print them all
newegg.com.
out. I print them all out. It's, you should see Audrey's office in there. It's a bloody mess.
It's full of internet purchases.
Yes. Receipts everywhere. It's horrible. Horrid. All right, let's talk about the Super Bowl, Jer. We're going to get into this.
So I was watching the Super Bowl thinking, Josh McDaniel is going to be our coach by Monday morning. It's going to be fine. If the New England wins, I'm going to be okay. I don't have to hate him that much. He's going to come to Indianapolis. And then, Josh McDaniels just totally stood up the Indianapolis Colts. So looking back now, I am even more thrilled, Sean, that the Patriots lost the Super Bowl.
Screw them.
They can't beat the NFC East.
Yeah, it was... Man, Foles just played just the perfect game. I mean, I could not have imagined a better scenario for him. And everybody was talking about how the Eagles' defensive line had to get sacks on Brady and pressure him. The only sack they got was at the very end of the game. It was just incredible.
There was one punch in the game. Brady threw for over 500 yards.
It was a great television game for the non-hardcore fans.
Yeah,
It was very easy to watch.
It was what the Super Bowl should be.
I had so much fun. NFL provided so many fun memes, and that's the way the internet works now, and the world works, and the way Content Jer works. I watched just for the content. In a lot of ways, whether it's the Tom Brady, they're trying to throw a pass to Tom Brady and it falls through his hands, and then they lose the game, and it turns into the Super Bowl, the Vince Lombardi Trophy falling through the hands of Tom Brady. I shared that one on Facebook. It's halftime with Timberlake singing, and the 15-year-old kid trying to do a selfie, but he can't get his phone to launch, so it looks like he's Googling who the hell is Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, that was great. But that's kind of the deal whenever it comes to the Super Bowl is especially the halftime show. Like the halftime show and the commercials. You said that game was good for people who don't watch the Super Bowl or watch football. That's pretty much the point of the halftime show and of the commercials, is to get people like me who don't watch sports to watch the Super Bowl.
50 million people watch the Super Bowl.
Hey, you're probably they're probably gonna be in there with their family. It doesn't matter. They're probably gonna be in there with their family, and the halftime show. I mean, does anybody absolutely just love the halftime show? Because
Some people do. I'm just not one of them.
Yeah,
I liked Tom Petty. I liked when Paul McCartney did.
Prince.
Summer, yeah.
Prince?
Prince. I was never a Prince guy.
Prince during the Colts Super Bowl though, in the rain,
Yeah,
purple rain.
Cirque du Soleil was terrible.
Yeah.
I was in such a good mood when the Colts played in the Super Bowl. I don't care who played in that one. The Who was amazing to me. So my top ones were probably the Who, Paul McCartney, and Tom Petty was the ultimate. If Garth Brooks ever played it, that would be at the top of my list. But otherwise, those guys were fantastic.
Brantley Spicer said that he watched the Puppy Bowl, and I forgot about it.
You forgot the
just
Puppy
now.
Bowl?
Like I've always watched the Puppy Bowl.
You gotta
That
go
is-
on YouTube and
Yeah,
That's what
dig it
happens
out.
when you live on your own. You're a grown ass man now, and you have to watch. You can't have your mom tune into the Puppy Bowl for you. You got to do it yourself.
I watched the Puppy Bowl here last year.
I don't know.
The Puppy
If you
Bowl
had
is,
attended the
is
Super Bowl
beautiful.
party that I threw for you, you could have. We would have watched it.
Well, if I had attended the Super Bowl party, we wouldn't have a door on the studio, and the audio for the meeting on Monday would have been much worse.
We're fighting like a married couple, Kate. I don't know. I don't know what to do about it. We need therapy.
But on the other end, you could have won a lot of prop bets.
That's
and,
true.
And
Yeah.
watched a lot of high-scoring football. I mean, that's what my kids and my wife got really into the game because it was just up and down the field, and people were throwing crazy passes, and it was
See,
just
that would have been cool to watch. That would have been fine. Like,
yeah.
but I just never been into sports.
It's okay.
And in the start of the third quarter, Boss Hog Liberty guest from episode 22, I believe,
Yes.
Jonathan Lamb ran a commercial promoting his
Lamb.
campaign.
That was impressive. That was impressive.
It's kind of like a Super Troopers
did.
meow.
Yeah.
Yeah. He went. Jonathan Lamb went from.
Nobody had
I-
ever
yeah.
heard of him.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
said the other day the Jonathan Lamb story is from a spare bedroom north of Q Avenue to the Super Bowl commercials.
That's it. We
The
started him.
Jonathan
We
Lamb
provided
story.
him the launching pad where he went from doing episode 22 of the Boss Hog of Liberty to allegedly outraising. He granted he's put his own money in, but he has put his money in. He's put in over $500,000 into this race for District 6, running against Greg Pence, and he's got a legitimate shot. He's on television. He was on WIBC today with Rob Kendall. I heard on the sidebar that he was talking to Rob Kendall about his time. No, this is not a joke. This is not any BS. He literally told Rob he enjoyed doing the Boss Hog of Liberty
Yes.
podcast.
Yeah.
So I want to remind Greg Pence's people that as you're watching this, the door is open to you, but you do need to come on. We've been talking about the Super Bowl, and prevent defense isn't going to win the election, so you do have to start talking to some folks. Please.
I would also like to point out to Greg York that you're the mayor of Newcastle, and we've had a lot of congressional candidates come in.
Lane Siekman's been on the show.
Yeah.
Jonathan Lamb's been on the show.
No, I told
Senator Kreider,
I told
Councilman Lamar,
the secretary, no, or the assistant to the mayor of Newcastle, Kendra.
assistant to the regional mayor.
Yeah. Not assistant mayor, assistant to. But I told Kendra, if he's nervous that we're going to disagree with him on a lot of things, then listen to the Lane Siekman or any of the Darren Jacobs episodes.
Well, Kade has been working on a guest as well. There's a gentleman running in District 40. I don't know what the district is. The state senate district, whatever the state senate district is, that's the northern part of Henry County that Nate was looking at running for. You've got some sort of relationship with. Is it Dave Ring? Is that the fellow's name?
Yep.
So we're going to try to have Dave on in the future. Lots and lots of guests that we're talking about, and looking at having on. Next week we do have Representative Saunders coming on, and then it'll be a double week. We're still scheduled to have Robin Miller on, the racing journalist, former sports writer for the Indy Star. He'll be on the show on Thursday.
Yep.
Following week, we've got Steve Horwitz of Ball State, noted economist. 2 show guests in a row that have their own Wikipedia pages. You can literally Google these people. They're authors. They're published. They are far beyond what we've got this week.
Well, I mean, if you guys just wait just like an hour, I'll have a Wikipedia.
You'll have a Wikipedia page.
give me just about an hour after
Your
the show.
entry will
you'll
be
find out.
appeared on 2 episodes
Yes.
of Boss Hog of Liberty with
Yes.
Jeremiah Morrell, Dakota
That's right.
Davis, and Kade Koger. Yeah, that's
That's
cool.
exactly right.
And you're going to use the picture we post tonight as
Without a
your
doubt.
official photo.
Without a doubt.
Do you defense attorneys have like trading cards and like your win-loss record in court?
Most defense attorneys don't keep track because
it kinda
defense
like your-
attorneys aren't supposed to win very
It's like
often.
it's like being a baseball player where a 250 is a really good average.
Yes, it's that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I used to keep track when I was a younger man, but I've since lost track.
You're gonna be
so-
like the Jim Voiles of Henry County. You're the guy. You're my guy at this point.
Well, I mean,
Got that money in your pocket.
Yeah, I mean, if I could be compared to Jim Boyles, I'd be okay with that.
Do you know who Jim Boyles is? Anybody on the left side of the room?
No.
No. When Tony Stewart accidentally killed a guy, that's who he called.
He's represented a lot of Pacers. I think he represented Mike Tyson.
He did represent Mike Tyson back in the early 90s.
Very nice guy, somebody that is very well liked by, court staff and people. And people have this image of attorneys. I'm going to come in, I'm going to breathe fire, I'm going to eat you alive. The nice guys are the ones that get the good offers and do well with juries and things like that.
If I ever got in trouble like that, my first call would be to Robert Shapiro.
Is he still alive?
I thought he was doing LegalZoom commercials for a while, so I think that's about
I don't know
all
if
he's
Robert
gonna do.
Shapiro's still alive. I don't know about, but you really did take in that F. Lee Bailey.
Yeah, dude.
Definitely Bailey's
Jackie-
been
I
disbarred.
literally have watched it like,
Jackie
like
Childs.
3 or 4 times.
I tell you to put the cheese on it. Who put the cheese on it?
I love that. I love that whole entire miniseries. I wish I'd been alive. I wish I'd been there to witness like the Bronco chase and everything about
I
the OJ
remember the
trial.
Bronco chase because it interrupted the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
And I was old enough to kind of be like,
See, they even
where's
showed
the basketball
that. They
game?
even showed
It was
that
like
in the series.
that was like the biggest day in sports. There's a whole ESPN 30 for 30, I think,
Yes,
based
there
upon
is.
that
That's
day in
exactly
sports.
I love that.
Because the
craze.
NBA Finals were happening. Al Cowlings and O.J. Simpson were outrunning the cops. I think maybe it was June. I think maybe the Tour de France was going on. 3 or 4 major events happening that day. Yeah, that's a great. If you have Netflix, I think it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime or one of those. Go look up that day in history. It's like June 10th, 1994, somewhere in there.
I can't remember.
Anyway, it's the same year but Lady Di died. It was a rough year.
It's crazy.
Maybe it was 94, 96. I don't know. Whatever. I was 10, 13.
I would
somewhere
guess
in there.
96,
Yeah, I mean 96 probably a good number.
maybe.
Okay.
Pretty close. Anyway, so
Well,
yeah,
we're moving on in
does,
show notes.
does the Super Bowl matter?
The Super Bowl doesn't. Well, okay. There's a couple reasons. I don't want to get down too far down into this rabbit hole.
We're
But
here
I've
now.
been thinking about it
We're mucking around in it.
because I still really want to cover the SpaceX Falcon Heavy launch. But the Super Bowl matters. It does matter quite a bit for a few different cultural reasons. Breaking it down into the way that our society works, the way that human society has always worked whenever it comes to sporting events. Going back to Roman Colosseums, whenever we would throw prisoners in there with lions. So coming together to witness a spectacle like that has always been a really big deal for societies, just based on the fact that it's something that people can put aside differences. You can put aside all the polarizing politics that have been happening. You can put aside the different arguments that you've had with your family and sit down and watch a game where people it's simple. They run the ball from one end to the other, and that's it. Like, you don't have to do much thinking. So it's very important in that sense, but then at the same time, it's not important at all. Because
the entire country can unite around hating Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and that snake Josh McDaniels.
Yes. I don't even watch sports, and I know like Bill Belichick. I just hate him, because as an American, it's what I'm supposed to do.
So in 2000, Bill Belichick was named the head coach of the New York Jets. In '97, he was hired as the head coach of the Jets, and he served for a week, and then they hired Bill Parcells away from the Jets. Replaced him. He stayed on the staff, and he served under Bill Parcells for 3 years. Parcells quit the Jets, and they named Belichick the head coach. He was having his introductory press conference the next day. He writes a letter that says, "I resign as HC New York Jets." Submits it. He's the head coach of the Jets for 12 hours, and now his snake of an assistant takes the job with the Colts, hires these guys. They're under contract with the Colts. These guys have all sold their houses, moved to Indianapolis. He accepts the job, and he's literally cleaning out his desk and changes his mind and says, "Nope, I'm not coming." That is worse than being a defense attorney.
I was not really high on McDaniels.
No, I think
I didn't really. It didn't really break my heart as much as it was just to
he's
he
coming.
showed his
Whatever.
colors. It is what he is. What he is. He's what we thought he was. Like the Dennis Green. we thought
They are who we thought they were. The late Dennis Green.
R.A.P.
Yeah, whatever. Sad day. The old Vikings coach and Cardinals coach. Maybe Frank Reich, maybe Les, the guy that's the defense coordinator in Buffalo now. He was on the list to interview. Dan Campbell, who was a tight end for the Giants, and now he's with the Saints.
I want to say this on camera. I want Frank Reich to coach the Colts.
I see. I think it's cool. He's everybody's backup. Somebody made that point yesterday. He was the Dakota. Bear with us just for half a second. I know this is killing you. He was the backup for Maryland football. He has no idea. Back when I was a kid, he was the backup quarterback to Boomer Esiason in Maryland. He did nothing. He never got to play hard. He was like Tom Brady, barely ever played. He was the backup quarterback for like a decade in Buffalo to Jim Kelly. He had the greatest comeback in the history of football at the time in the early '90s to advance the Bills past the Oilers. So he's used to being the second choice. If he's the second choice here, but he comes in to win, hey,
and he's
we'll
familiar.
take it.
He's familiar with the organization. He used to be quarterback's coach, and he's coached Carson Wentz to that offense before Wentz got hurt. Was phenomenal, and then Foles turns into Joe Montana out there, just dropping dimes and just putting into the basket. It was just an incredible performance to watch. So
he took Napoleon Dynamite to a Super Bowl victory.
He took Sweet D from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah,
Shut up, bird.
So yeah,
how can you not go for a guy
you
like
got the
that?
Super Bowl victory party today.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've burnt down the city of Philadelphia. My cousin Megan will let us know.
Hopefully so.
And then
I saw
tomorrow
the
he's interviewing in
videos.
Indy.
I saw the videos of those guys that and I listened to like I say all the time, I listen to Ben Shapiro's show every day, and he had the clips of the guys. They climbed up onto a bunch of different balconies and awnings and ripped them down. There was one dude who actually ate horse dung.
Yes.
And that was the greatest thing on Shapiro's show, because he started playing it, and his assistants do everything like that off the camera for him. Like we said, we're not at that level yet, but he's sitting there and he's like, so this is a man and he's eating horse poop, and then the clip comes up and right before the man puts his face in the horse crap, Shapiro's like, okay, we don't need to see this, and then all of a sudden it happens and he just screams off there. That's disgusting. I didn't need to see that.
All right, so your man crush, Elon Musk, Dakota.
I'm convinced that Elon Musk is actually Iron Man.
He runs. He started making bajillions of dollars with PayPal, X.com, and PayPal, and then he started Tesla. He started SpaceX. So he combined those two together and made the news in the most ridiculous way possible this last week.
I don't know if it was a ridiculous way. I think it was an amazing way.
It's ridiculously amazing, I think, is the way to put it.
I think that Elon Musk is the embodiment of great American capitalism.
So he took a $120,000 brand new Tesla Roadster convertible.
No, it was actually his.
But
Tesla
his
Roadster.
personal one. It still looked damn new to me in the pictures. Convertible, strapped a dummy in it, put a spacesuit on him.
Correct.
They made it the payload for this
the
rocket,
Falcon Heavy,
the Falcon Heavy rocket system. It's got 3 different booster engines.
Oh yeah,
it's almost all reusable.
Yeah, it's got the two different boosters on the side that you see all the time on rockets. But this is actually, I have here on the show notes that it's the largest rocket ever launched by a private company. But this is actually the largest rocket ever launched. Period. Like that.
Bigger than the Saturn V.
Yeah, this is the largest rocket that we have ever put into space. So I have some of the specs on here, some like a few different facts that if you want to sound really cool whenever you're talking to your friends tomorrow about the Falcon Heavy, then you can point out these facts like, hey, I know this thing. But the Falcon Heavy was powered by 27 different Merlin engines, and the Merlin engines are what are kind of the standard in sending things into space. That's what we use, the Merlin engine, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Because you're on the team.
Yes, I'm one
Team
of the
America.
World Police. I'm Matt Damon.
Have you seen the infographic that somebody made? Countries with cars in space, and it's the entire world, and then the United States it's filled in, and that's it.
I love that. But no,
that's capitalism at its finest, right there.
Oh yeah. So
Suck it, NASA.
This thing is so big that, like I said, the 27 Merlin engines, but that's we know that Tesla has been sending things up into space as a private company for a long time, since like 2004, and they've been using the Falcon 9, and 27 is actually 3 times the amount of what they put on the Falcon 9.
So the next part is that it shoots up, goes, and then for the last couple of cycles, I guess maybe a year ago they did it the first time successfully. The 2 smaller rockets go up into space, and then they drop back down and like GPS land on a landing pad at Canaveral, simultaneously next to each other.
Yep.
It's just the most ridiculous fashion
that was probably
possible.
the coolest part of that whole
if you were
launch
watching,
for me
if you were watching the video, it looked like you had just watched it happen in reverse.
Yeah.
Was how synchronized it was.
It was pretty cool. I just shared a video earlier on my Facebook, so if you're listening and want to go to that and scroll down a little bit, there's an awesome video of some people that were just watching, and they got really good footage of that coming back down and landing perfectly.
And then Musk is
so
like,
cool.
Musk really was like, dudes, this may or may not work. Like, I don't know. We're gonna try. That part's become somewhat routine. The big rocket that went up also was supposed to try to land in on a platform out on the ocean.
Yeah.
I guess it missed by about 1,000 feet, 300 meters or so. So 3 football fields, Dakota, if you know what an American football field is, roughly. About 3 football fields would it missed by. So it missed by, missed it by that much, whatever. Can you give me a good Maxwell Smart? No. All right. These guys aren't going to know what Maxwell Smart is. Anyway, somebody's doing it for me in the car. But, yeah. Anyway. Yeah, it was just crazy. It's
so
innovation, and it's not public. It's privately done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that the Falcon 9s cost like 64 to $66 million to launch, and because these rocket boosters are actually reusable, they're able to be reused. This is only going to cost like $30 million more each time he wants to launch a Falcon Heavy, which I know that's a lot of money for people who don't have millions and millions of dollars, but whenever you're talking about space travel, and he's sending this thing up so that we can eventually get to space. Like the Falcon Heavy isn't only made to just carry like large satellites, it's eventually like the whole proposed plan is to eventually take people to Mars with it. Like NASA is saying that they have lost the technology that sent us to the moon the first time, and they can't get us back to the moon, which conspiracy theorists are having a heyday with that, but whatever. And but now Elon Musk is taking us to Mars. Like that is insane, and there's going to be so much data to come from this. I don't know. I just think it's awesome. It can take up 141,000 pounds of weight, a payload with it.
That is basically 2 semis, 2 truckloads.
Yep, that's huge.
Full truckloads, not like what you can carry, but the entire
if I took
fully loaded semi.
2 of my semis
2 of your grain trucks.
and loaded them with corn.
Yeah.
That's basically
what he's sending up
what
there.
they sent up there.
Can you imagine the power it takes to launch that into
That's pretty
space?
incredible.
And how fast it was going too. Like the whole thing just blew my mind. Like I just love it.
All right. So one more thing we wanted to get into a little bit. We've been watching the local county races and the stuff in our area here. This show kind of has a Henry County, Indiana focus because honestly, let's just those are the guests that we can get. Sometimes we can get an Indianapolis guy, but we are an inspiration. We cover our local politics, the things we can get a hold of. That's what we super serve. We obviously cover the sports. We cover the Indianapolis stuff. We can cover the federal stuff, but we super serve the local. And everybody has the things we talk about here happen in your community too. Whether you're listening in Newcastle, Indiana, or Newcastle, Pennsylvania, or Newcastle, Delaware, you have a city council too, a county council, a parish council if you're in Louisiana or whatever the hell they have. I don't know. In Louisiana, you probably have your own bayou rules. I don't know. Anyway, we've been watching the local races. There are people filing right now, Sean. I don't see your name on here yet.
No.
You've got until noon tomorrow to file if you're going to be in one of the old party primaries.
Not going to happen.
But if you're a libertarian, we got until June 15th to get you worked out.
Not going to happen this cycle for me, but thank you.
So
we'll put that out there.
Locally, that's just like when a presidential candidate, Kade, they always say, "No, I'm not running. I'm not running," until they're running. Just saying. Just saying. Everybody has to interview for their job. Everybody should have to interview for their job, Sean. And right now, I'm looking. There's only one guy running for prosecuting attorney in Henry County.
That's right.
and
That's right.
Judge McCord and Judge Crane have no opposition of any sort.
That's correct. They're
Right
not
now.
going to have any from me.
I'm just saying, there's only one attorney in the room. I can't run for those. I'm thinking about running for an office myself, but I can't run for those. You got to be able to get in the Justice Center with
Sean has to
with your
focus
phone.
Sean has to focus on his brewing career.
It's true.
And quite sincerely, though, the elected prosecutor, Mr. Burgess, the two judges
He's
running.
the recently elected prosecutor. Let's be honest. He didn't,
He's been elected.
But
He
now
had an
he
election
has.
cycle. All those people I really enjoy working with, and I think they do a great job.
Right. But honestly, okay, so I want to start with this. Everybody that's running for office is doing a service to the community.
Yes.
Every one of these names on here, as we're having these elections, some of these may get nastier than others, but just because somebody is running for office against somebody doesn't mean you have a problem with them. Wednesday night of next week, Tom Saunders is going to sit in that chair, and in 2012, I ran against Tom. My sign's right up there.
Right.
Doesn't mean I had a problem with Tom.
Correct.
It means that I was the only opposition to Tom providing a choice to the voters, and I think it made me a better person. I think it made Tom a better person. It gave more service. It gave the voters a choice in November. There have been elections locally in Rush County and even here. Rush County literally canceled a city election last cycle because nobody ran for office against the incumbents. That doesn't work.
No.
People have to run for office. Even if you just simply go and you attend forums and you talk, you need to run for office. Not you specifically, but just preaching to the people that are listening. If you think you have the skill set to do the job, it's a service thing. It's that Catholic guilt thing I was talking about earlier. It's a legitimate thing that you help your community by running. And even the incumbent who you may, I lost 80 to 20 last time, 80% to 20%. I knew I didn't have a chance in hell of winning the last election. But I ran because it meant that Dick Bauslag had to interview for his job. That's the way it works. So that's the start of this. But looking at it right now, obviously we've had a number of the candidates on for U.S. Congress. That race, we'll see who makes the ballot, who doesn't make it. But those are pretty well published. We talked about Jonathan Lamb, and Mackenzie's had his people on, and we've had Lane Siekman on, and Jim Pruitt's running as a Democrat. State Rep Tom Saunders does have an opponent. He's got Jeff Embry running in the Republican primary. I think he's actually going to make the ballot this time. We talked about Kit Crane and David McCord running for Circuit Court Judge in the different districts, and Joe Burzak's running for prosecutor. In Henry County, Jennifer Grubbs is running for clerk of the court. I think she's an employee of the clerk's office. Is that correct? I don't know her personally yet. I knew Debbie Walker pretty well from her time serving. She is running for county auditor. It's like you get in the county courthouse in the government, and it's just kind of, you can only be in a seat for 8 years, and then you have to pick another one. So they kind of cycle through. So these guys are all running as Republicans so far. County Recorder Linda Winchester is running for that seat. Bill Upchurch is running for treasurer. Sheriff right now, we only have Rick McCorkle running. There's no opposition yet. I would guess that by the time we get to November, that's going to have somebody else there.
Yep.
And then Jody Brown is running for assessor. First race that has competition, Northern District Commissioner Butch Baker has Ed Tarantino running in that race against him. Those are in Henry County. The entire county votes in the race, but you have to live geographically. So we have 3 commissioners in every county in Indiana, excluding Marion County, which is different. But you have a Northern District, Center District, and a Southern District. This is the Northern District that's up this time. The Central and the Southern were up in 2016. So I don't know where Mr. Tarantino lives. I know Butch Baker, I think he lives up in Prairie Township. But the entire county is going to vote in that. So right now there's only 2 Republicans, no Democrats. Still have time. District 1 County Council have 2 people that have filed so far. This is the seat that's going to be open. Adam Bowman is running against Pat Cronk. I'm also potentially floating my name out there for that race. Haven't decided yet, but keep your mind open, folks. And then there's some township trustee races as well. We won't get into the township races, but there are, I think, how many townships do we have in Henry County? Do you know?
No,
off the top
I
of your
don't
head?
know.
It's like 13 or 14.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
There's an awful lot of them. Let's see. District 2 County Council, we've got 3 candidates running right now. Chad Malacote, friend of the show, has declared as a Republican. On the Democrat side, we have Robin Reno Fleming, who is the incumbent Democrat. Dennis Free has filed. I heard some scuttlebutt out there that maybe he's not going to run, or maybe he may be reconsidering that. I know he had last run for that a county council race, and he backed out. That may or may not happen this time.
He had looked at that in the 2016 election and ended up backing out of that.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see if he's actually on the ballot come the fall. But these are really important races. These are the people that are the closest to you, and they really get to decide what your tax rates are, what happens. You know, they have appointments to your planning commission, which Sean is a
Yes.
part of.
Yep, and I think it was
I'm
I
the
think it
attorney for
was-
the planning commission. I'm
Yeah.
not a member.
One of many jobs you have
One of many hats I wear.
on that
And-
government take.
I believe it was actually Chad Malacote that ended up, whenever he was on the show, he ended up saying that it takes 7 people. 7 people can affect your life and change your laws.
It only takes 4 to do it. There's 7 on the committee, and
Yeah.
only 4 have to vote to raise your taxes.
Exactly.
And this is 4 of the seats we're talking about.
That's why we're saying it's so important. That's an issue, and those are the things that we have to pay attention to.
3rd district, we've got Steve Duggar, who's the incumbent county councilman over there. Got a challenger named Peggy Standefel. I don't know much about her, but I've heard she's on the. There's almost like 2 parties. There's the Democrat Party, Republican Party, and then off of that, there's an offshoot of the anti-Win Party. I think Peggy falls in that category. I think, but I'm looking forward to seeing how all of these folks campaign, what the issues turn into, and I really do hope that we can use this as a platform to get. Basically, to get people in front of a microphone and explain their ideas.
Yes.
Yep.
So my goal is going to be to have people in District 1, 2, 3, and 4 come on this show, talk, and work through these things, both before the primary and as we get to the general election, to give people an opportunity to watch these folks in person. Going to make you go to a, obviously, I think the other forums will exist, but I want to provide a place where we can do long-form discussions about the issues.
Yep.
So Peggy Standefel and Steve Duggar are running as Republicans in that district. Dakota Clark, I found him on the Facebook, just like other Krogers. I think he's a 2017 graduate of Knightstown, so very excited that he's running. He's a political science major up at Ball State, looking at making his first run as a Democrat. The last district we have, no Democrats filed, but Susan Hoon, who ran as a county commissioner candidate in the South last time, as an independent, she has filed against Nate Lamar, the county council president in District 4. So lots of excitement coming. Y'all can sign up for yard signs, contacting those folks, and let your yards do some campaigning. We'll see what happens, but
Yeah.
it's exciting.
It is. This is going to be a good year. As the chairman for the Libertarian Party of Henry County, I have to say that I feel really good about what's going to happen this year. I think that there's a lot of good liberty-minded people. Chad is one of those people, and I'm really confident and I'm really hopeful about the 2018 election cycle.
The important thing is people run and, new ideas come in. We can't
Yep.
run a county like it's 1972. And I know it takes having new people on a council and new people in leadership for those things to happen and for advances to happen.
Yep.
Doesn't necessarily mean we have to elect them, but we do need new ideas, and bringing fresh ideas in is a really good thing.
Yeah, and it's something that we've talked about on the show all the time. It's straight ticket voting absolutely kills the formation of new ideas whenever it comes to local government.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see. This is not a final list. I think coming by Saturday, I think we should have a final list. I think noon Friday is the deadline.
Yes.
Other interesting things to see: each of the Senate candidates have to have a certain number of signatures across the 9 districts. I think I don't know if Joe Donnelly's on this ballot yet or not. I don't know if he's filed. You have until noon tomorrow to make your filing. I'm sure he will make it. Wow. Yeah, actually, I don't see any of the U.S. None of the U.S. Senate candidates made it here yet, but it's because they're validating signatures. We'll see that after the fact. I've seen the preliminary signature reports come in. I think all of the well-financed candidates are going to make the ballot. Donnelly, Messer, Braun, and Rikita.
Unfortunately, our guest that we had on, Andy Horning, he had to step out. He couldn't make the signature requirement.
Yep, and then I think there's Andrew Tacchini, who's from Southern India. I think he's from Floyd's Knob, maybe. We invited him on. He is going to be very close on making it. I know that they were making a push to try to get on. Gonna be close. You're gonna have 3 to 4 Republicans running, and obviously just Senator Donnelly running for re-election. I'm sure we'll have a Libertarian on, and we'll see where it goes. But anyway, that's the update on the races. Honestly, the top of the ticket might be the one that gets the most interest, but the bottom of the ticket is the spot you really need to watch. Those township level races. We're not going to get into all the township level races today, but those council races, commissioners races. That's where those are the people that actually have the most effect on your day to day.
We're gonna try hard to get some Senate candidates in, some of the big names in, and then hey, you never know if we get some Senate candidates in here. Next thing you know, we're moving up to Rand Paul, and
if we get
people
Senate
like
candidates
that.
on, maybe not the governor, the mayor will agree to come in.
Maybe.
We've been told you inquired with his office, and he was going to research the podcast. So
Yep, he did. It's gonna take him a while to get through all 42 episodes.
yeah, he's got to binge. He's got to get to Sean Rao and Brent Spicer levels of fandom
Yep, he's
through 42 episodes.
He's a busy guy.
Especially when we turn out 2 next week.
Yeah, that'll really throw him for a loop. What the heck, guys? I was just about ready to agree.
You guys need to reach out to the White House. I mean,
We're getting there.
you need to.
Yep.
Get to
We're
that
slowly
level.
building the credibility. We've
Go
gone
big
from
or go
having,
home.
we've gone from having Bones Harcourt, the golf course superintendent, on the show in my backyard, to having state representatives and state senators. And God, you're like our third attorney we've had on at this point. It's ridiculous. I can't imagine the legal bill I've built. We've wasted 3 of your hours at this point tonight, Sean.
You get the bill in the mail. There's a friend of the show discount.
Oh, good.
Shave a little off the top. No.
Galen and Rao, is that
Galleon.
Galleon?
Yes.
Galleon and Rao.
Yes.
Yeah, not Roe.
Rao.
Rao.
Yes.
Mike Rowe spells it with an E.
Yes.
Sean Rao
Spells it with no E.
Rao.
Rao.
No E.
Correct.
Yeah,
Rao.
exactly.
Correct. Yes.
But what about
You
like
people
row,
and your
row, row
names.
your boat? That doesn't have an E on the end.
Never
of it.
heard of that one before. Never heard that one before.
So
I
how
bet
do-
not. I
how do-
hear North or South Dakota. I hear that every time.
How do people get in touch with you if they want to follow you? You get your beer opinions, your hockey opinions, your legal aid.
Facebook or I don't know. Sometimes I retweet things off of Twitter, but it's mostly what I use Twitter for. Is like I thought this was funny or interesting, and I'm going to share it with my friends. Facebook or Twitter, and I'm available by email, and I'm just one of these older millennials that's not on Instagram or Snapchat or anything
Yeah,
else.
I'm not
one of these
I'm
old
on
dogs.
Instagram. When I'm on Instagram, I scroll through and about the 5th or 6th post down. Kid, you see this all the time. It tries to get you to invite your friends.
Yeah.
Dakota is
Dakota's
always
the
the
first
first
one.
person. It's like,
Yeah.
you need to invite Dakota. Dakota and my mother
he's
are
a
not on
young
Instagram.
millennial.
Yeah, I'm the world's oldest millennial, and he's the world's youngest. And literally, it's like, you need to invite Dakota. Every time. Every time. All right, so final thoughts. Is there anything we left out that we need to cover for you?
I would just like to give a shout out to the Courier Times, who covered Veterans Treatment Court this week.
That was a cool story. There's a
yes.
special, I don't know how many counties have that, but there's a special veterans court
Yes.
where people that are service members go through, and they've had a program where you come in multiple times. Like, it's not just a half-assed
Pretty much every
court. You go
week.
in once a week,
Yeah.
and you go before the judge, and you get tested. I assume it's drug and alcohol testing.
Yep.
And they had their first graduate, right?
Yes, we've had our first graduate this week. He's been in for about a year. We expect another graduate the following month. So we're making some progress with our first group, and these guys work very hard. They've earned these benefits. Get them connected to the VA. Sometimes they have benefits they didn't even know about. So that's always really cool to see.
So what's the advantage of going through the veterans court versus the regular court?
So the Veterans Court is only obviously available to service members who are honorably discharged, and they have run into some issues with the legal system. If the candidate is appropriate, we would roundtable it with the team. I'm one of the members, the judge, prosecutor, probation, community corrections, sheriff. Everybody we all get to have some input. And then if the person would plead guilty to something we would agree to, they would enter into a participation agreement, which would stipulate maybe you get your felony reduced to a misdemeanor, or you get your case dismissed entirely if you successfully complete the program. And then we enter them into the program. They can do intensive inpatient programming, or they can do group therapy, or vocational rehab, trying to get them back into the workforce, So it's been a real pleasure to be a part of that program and to see that the justice system, not just nationally but in Henry County, we're starting to move away from, when you're the hammer, you hammer people, everything looks like a nail. Well, there are other ways of addressing these problems and trying to reduce recidivism, and a lot of that includes treatment. And I think in the near future, you're going to see more problem-solving courts in our county. You're going to see a drug court. You're going to see maybe an expansion of that, and then hopefully more candidates for Veterans Court, and we can help out as many vets as we can. But I really appreciated Travis and Eldon coming out to cover that, and just really enjoyed being a part of that program.
Yeah, that's a great
really
story.
cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and if honest, this is a shameless plug again. I subscribe to all three of the local papers: the Knightstown paper, the Newcastle paper, and the Middletown paper. Whether you're listening in Henry County, Indiana, or Salem, Indiana, or anywhere, get your local paper. There's a lot. They send people to local meetings, so you don't have to suffer through them, but you can be plugged in. Great service they provide.
Friend of the show, Travis Wyke.
That's right.
He did a great job with the story. So
Now
just want to give him a shout.
he did write a story today about the about the township
Yeah.
government, and I did a little copy editing for him. He said he's going to yell at me. He wrote the and I'll read his story for everybody. Consolidation bill dies in the House. He said trustees in rural townships can breathe a bit easier now that House Bill 1005. I did a simple edit, and I said he might have meant breathe, so I wrote it in, texted it to him, and sent it back. And he came back telling me to ignore my descriptive sentence. I don't ignore his descriptive sentence just because of a silly and some might argue an wholly unnecessary vowel. So anyway, it's to each their own, I guess, on the spelling. He didn't post a correction online, so he's standing by his story.
Telling, not spelling.
Telling, not spelling.
That's
Cade-
why you're a lawyer. Right?
Hey, he can
You're
defend
not a
it.
journalist.
He can defend a potentially incorrect word. It's not beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's wrong.
That's
so
right.
I guess he might be innocent.
That's right. Who knows?
It's plausible, so I can't convict.
Got to hear both sides.
The glove doesn't
Got
fit.
to hear both sides.
If the glove don't fit, you must acquit.
Cade, you hauling corn? What's going on in your world?
We're done. We finally got done.
You got it all sold?
Yep.
Your bank account's fat, and you're ready to build your windmill now.
Yep. We're
I'm ready for all the Boss Hog of Liberty donations.
yeah.
There's like a 1 second silence right there.
Yeah, just him shooting daggers at you.
No, we're working in the shop now, getting stuff ready for springtime, and trying to stay busy. Kind of rebuilding tools and servicing tractors and trucks and getting stuff ready.
Told you need to start putting crops on the ground now, so you can get your third replant out of the way, so you can make it for the bachelor party.
If I could, I'd do that.
They won't germinate till it gets warm anyway. You just got to get them in there, and they'll be ready to go.
Yeah.
They won't rot.
So,
All right. Well,
but yeah, other than that, I'm really looking forward to what we got kind of in the queue, people we got lined up to interview, and I think we're going to have a lot of good episodes here coming up.
well, we
agree.
appreciate you being a part of the show and
Everybody stay tuned. And
being the Boss Hog model tonight, wearing that medium.
yep, I like it.
Looking good.
Fits good.
Dakota, what's going on over there?
What's going on in my world? There's not a whole lot. Okay, so this basically, like the past 3 weeks, I've fallen deeply in love with Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, and I know you too. I keep seeing you post stuff on Facebook, and it's
Jordan's
just awesome.
a great guy. I really like
Oh
Jordan.
my goodness, I keep listening. I've like binge watching and binge listening to everything that he has, and then I feel like I'm betraying Ben Shapiro, so then I have to go back and listen to Ben's show. And then I'm like, no, but there's so much stuff that I still have to listen to on Jordan's show. I mean, hopefully I can learn some things from that, and I can incorporate him into this show. That would be awesome. And then we can get as big as what he is, and maybe one day me and you will be sitting across from Dave Rubin on the Rubin Report.
You never know.
Yep. But if I wanted to give a quick update about what we saw at the Monday City Council meeting with the large trash. It sounds like we're going to go ahead and there's going to be 3 large trash pickup days. The second week of April, the second week of July, and the second week of October are going to be your large trash pickup days. But also, the city is going to pay for every citizen to take all their large trash to Buster's at any time. So you have to provide your city like utility bill, and then you have to provide your driver's license that proves that you live here, and then the city will pay for it. You don't have to pay a dime to do it. And that is our large trash scenario. I know we've been following it from the beginning, and a lot of people tuned in for our live stream.
So, Kade,
that's our update.
You can go to Dakota's house, and he's got a trash bill. You can get all your stuff dumped for free by going
Yes.
with Dakota, and then I can go to Sean, and I can get my dishwasher disposed of.
So you're not supposed to like conspire on camera. Like that's rule number one there.
They won't know it's us if you just kick it out and keep going.
That's true.
That was
You
one
can
of
just dump it out on a county road and make it
Yeah.
Eddie Amos's problem.
Yeah. It's because it ends up in a combine, and that's not cool.
no. I worked on a farm my very first job, and I think there were 3 times that I had to go out and clean out people had dumped in
Oh, it's
cornfields.
terrible.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
stupid too.
Well, and the thing is, when you're farming and you're watching what you're doing, especially on inrows, you're not always watching.
You're watching a
Yeah,
podcast.
you're trying not to hit telephone poles, and you end
Yeah.
up sucking a tire into it. And
Which sometimes, if you're a farmer, you're driving a backhoe and you still hit not a telephone pole but telephone wire, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I got called out for that job. I re-
Was that at Kade's house?
it was out there on some of the property that he farms.
Yeah.
Oh man, bad
Accidents
blood over
happen.
yonder. Honestly though, if you pay for trash service, your people, if you're a rural person, you don't have to go sneak in with Sean or Dakota, some of these city folk. They will come and pick it up as well. Like it's I think 2 times a year. If you're a Buster's person, I have Buster's. I called them. I've got a dishwasher I need picked up. You literally just have to call and they'll pick it up twice a year as well. You just make a phone call and they'll do it. So don't conspire and make the city pay for it. That's it's wholly unnecessary. They'll just take care of it for you anyway. Or you can just drag it down there yourself for $5 and they'll take it. But don't pollute. No matter what you do, don't stick it in Cade's field. That's just not fair. Final thoughts from me. The stock market has completely crashed this year. Total panic in the media. If you watch CNN or Fox News or anybody that wants clicks and ratings, until today, the stock market had crashed horribly, Sean, to levels we hadn't seen since January 1st of this year. Everything you had made in the last 30 days was gone. Were you okay on January 1st, Sean?
I think I was all right.
You were doing okay, Kade?
I was all right.
That was all right.
It's not a total panic. It went down another 1,000 points today, which means you're probably down to where you were about Thanksgiving. Nobody gets hurt on a roller coaster unless you get off in the middle. You're going to be okay.
And
Just calm your asses down.
Can we stop pretending like the president is in direct correlation with what happens in the stock market? Like, the president never, like, even, okay, I'm not just saying this because Trump is president, but, like, even when Obama was president, the president doesn't have a direct
I love that
effect over the
his
stock
memory of
market.
presidents goes all the way back to Obama.
All the way back,
That's
all the way back in the old days. Does Trump know that he doesn't affect the stock market?
No,
Does Trump know that?
Trump doesn't know, and this is like, dear President Trump, from my bedroom in Newcastle, Indiana, please hear me out. You do not have a direct effect or do not have direct control over the stock market. That is literally like our entire economic system, is that the president doesn't have control over the stock market. And I'm tired of hearing about, oh, look at what Donald Trump has done. Donald Trump is doing so good because my 401k is better. Stop.
That would lose steam if he would stop saying it.
Yes,
That's
would.
the only thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things he should stop saying.
But anyway, final thoughts from me. Thank you everybody that's listened and subscribed on some platform. You can get us on SoundCloud if you look up We Are Libertarians. We thank We Are Libertarians for carrying us on their network. iTunes, TuneIn Radio. Look up Boss Hog of Liberty. Our podcast is there, easily available. YouTube, Boss Hog of Liberty. Facebook.com/Boss Hog of Liberty. There's a theme here. Basically, Boss Hog of Liberty anywhere you'll find us. Just BossHogofLiberty.com and you can stream the podcast there. We're on Stitcher, all of the platforms. You can find us. We're easy to get to. We appreciate all of our supporters. Special thank you to Chad Malacote for his donation this week to help with the studio cost. We really appreciate that. We got on the good side of T-Chimp and actually got paid for all of the merchandise, the coffee cups, the T-shirts. Going to try to get that stuff back into an online store shortly, but until then, if you got it, it should be at your house by now. I think I've gotten everything I ordered, and I know a number of the listeners have as well. We will get a second round very soon, but hopefully you've enjoyed seeing all the swag. Get your hands on that next time. Looking forward to having Representative Saunders on and Robin Miller on next week. Big time stuff coming. We really do appreciate the support and the listeners. The only way we grow is when you share it. So tell your friends, word of mouth, and on social media. Share the picture, share the video, and give us likes and clicks. That's what makes it happen. We will see you all next week.
Good show.
Nice work.